start with Scott. List and describe your highest priorities for Arizona education.
In 1 minute?
In 1 minute.
Okay.
This is a test.
What I'm here. First, we need to make sure we're funding everything properly. And when I say funding everything properly, I'm talking about in the classroom, not, as John was talking about, how we have uploaded it up part. We also need to work at creating a better STEAM curriculum. And for those of you that don't know, STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And as a theater major, I can tell you that art is very important. We also need to work to change the fiscal responsibilities of all schools receiving taxpayer funding. So we need to make sure that they're all reporting, including charter schools and private schools, reporting the same, so that we know exactly where the tax dollars are going. That's it.
Good job.
That was good.
That was good.
Wow.
I'm impressed. Cara, see if you can beat him.
All right. Well, first we need to create a culture in our state where teachers and education are actually valued. There's the starter. We need to pay teachers wages that reflect the fact that teachers are critical to the success of kids, families, communities, and our economy. And we need to provide more funding for education and for all the programs after school or before school that are actually going to kind of help kids out of it. You know, nutrition assistance, health care, and living wages. Living wage goes a long way.
You're up, Adam.
Oh boy.
We're doing good.
I think one of the first things we have to do is create a consistent and reliable funding mechanism for our education system so that you don't have these peaks and these dramatic peaks and valleys in the funding available for education. Second thing I think we need to do is strongly look at investing in a vibrant and strong career and technical education. As I said, when a child graduates from high school, you got to be able to do one of two things, either go to college or enter the workforce. And I think that our CTE programs are a great feeder system into our technical labor force. And then the last thing I would do is I would look at mechanisms we can put in place to bring money from a top-heavy administration down into the classrooms so that teachers aren't taking the money out of their pockets to buy school supplies that should be budgeted by the school district, so parents aren't getting the $150, $200 a year supply list that they need to purchase. So those would be the three things.
Thank you, Adam. Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you. When I first went to the Senate, I asked our Auditor General about corruption in our state and financial challenges because I had read some reports, and she said most of the fraud in the state exists in the school districts. That concerned me a lot because we are spending a lot of money. We all want great education. Where's the money going? So my priority would be to track that money. They say follow the dollars, find out where it's going. Now we have, and I spoke to a state representative who happened to be a Democrat. I always enjoy talking to Democrats, and she told the story that she was the school board president of Roosevelt School District, and she was looking through financial reports, and she saw a trip to Los Angeles, and the cost of that, she said the only problem is I didn't make that trip. And so she called for an audit, and the next month when they met, then she was removed as school board president and replaced with someone else. So where's the money going? We need to find out.
Representative Townsend.
Thank you, and I sit on that same committee and I concur, I agree wholeheartedly, but to stick within my 1 minute, the 1 minute's not enough to tell you all my priorities, but I'm going to say something that hasn't been said yet, and I think that we need to look at the culture of educating our children. I can say that when my kids were already in school up in Oregon, when we transferred down here, and they had a great love of school, and they came to Arizona schools, and it broke my heart. One day my son said, I hate going to school. I hate going to school here. It was nose to the grindstone. It wasn't, the quality of the education wasn't good. I want to see our kids enjoy our school, give them a rich experience, and we cannot do that if the dollars aren't getting to the classroom. We cannot do that if there's not sports for them to release their steam after school. We cannot do that if we don't have the equipment, and we can't do it if we don't have good teachers that we're attracting from around the country because it's such a low pay for them. So I agree that there should be, you know, the money that we have already should be not going to all these fancy trips to LA, but rather to our teachers.
Thank you. Sharon?
I think, first of all, we do need to restore the constitutionally mandated funding for traditional public schools. That's going to assist in providing all those rich experiences that we want our children to have in the school setting, and that the environment will be warm and inviting and interesting and challenging. We also need to use those funds to, as we've heard, recruit and retain these educators who are putting many hours into the classroom and using their own resources to supplement the classrooms and trying to provide an education for 30+ children in other classrooms oftentimes. And so because they are given so few resources, it's hard for them to be able to feel encouraged. And I also would restore funding for all-day kindergarten and emphasis on pre-K.
Thank you, Sharon. This question is similar, and therefore you can.
He didn't get the answer.
John.
Well, I thought I was gonna be able to.
You thought you were
slide.
gonna be able to slide out. You can't do that. You gotta, you know, raise your hand. John. John
My-
has to answer, and then it's Skip's. Then it's Skip's. No.
I started
See,
this
you're in
one.
the same place I am.
My highest priorities are the school consolidation. I would like to see some curriculum items put in that kids have to deal with. In other words, I believe our kids need to have a better understanding of business math, an understanding of being able to balance their own budgets. Everyday things that we as adults have to do. Had we done this years ago, perhaps we wouldn't have had the meltdown of our real estate industry. I believe that more money should be spent on GTech, and that the state needs to recognize, regardless or irregardless, or whichever one that is for you educated people, what they say is that not all of our kids are going to be professors or doctors, but we have a huge section of society that we need to help. And that's the average, everyday Joe and Mary out there that's gonna graduate from our high schools. And that money's gotta be spent.
Thank you.